Courage will change the world.
Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends. Magnus of the Feral Horde here for Bizarre Brain Comics. Where I am here to relate tales of daring do, brave sword-wielding warriors, and beautiful damsels, often in distress, combating evil wizards and horrid monsters. Sometimes, the damsels themselves are the brave sword-wielding warriors, as is the case we have here. Ha ha! This is Xena, Warrior Princess, a graphic novel from Dynamite, the title of Road Warrior. And for those who may not be, I don't know how you couldn't, but may not be familiar, this graphic novel is from 2019, Xena, Warrior Princess, Road Warrior. It was written by Vida Ayala with art by Olympia Sweetman, Vasco Georgiev, Jordi, how do you say that? Jordi Perez, can't read my writing, and Erica Dursa, with covers by David Mack. Okay, Xena first started in comics in 1996 from Topps Comics as the publisher, later published by Dark Horse in 2007 and Dynamite in 2019. And this volume collects a six-issue miniseries from Dynamite. And Xena, of course, is a fantasy TV series starred Lucy Lawless and Renee O'Connor, and it ran from 1995 to 2001. And made stars of those performers, those actresses, as well as some of the other actors on the show. And of course, it was a spin-off from Hercules: The Legendary Adventures. What was it? Legendary Journeys. That was it. And is still, and I think Xena eclipsed Hercules in popularity, largely because Xena wound up having a larger female audience attraction to it. Okay, and it's gratifying to see so many women worked on this project here. Of course, as I said, it was a 6-issue miniseries, and collected in this into this graphic novel. David Mack, he did just a beautiful bang-up job on it. He did this cover and did the covers of all the individual floppy issues, which are reproduced herein. But it's a beautiful. Working with watercolor in this manner is very difficult, and I wish I could do it. Of course, it has a nice loose. The basic original drawing is a very tight pencil drawing, but then very loose inks on top of that. Not inks, watercolors on top of that, and then the backgrounds. But notice the ghostly image in the back is done very tightly, but the rest of it is very loose, and it's just great. I wish I could do that. So I'll try to just briefly go through the graphic novel. Here's Xena and Gabrielle. Here, the frontispiece. There's the cover again. Helping people in distress, sending off bad guys. Then someone comes out of the forest asking for help. He thought he had heard that Hercules was over here and they were looking for Hercules. But he'll make do with Xena. They take back to their village because someone is going to take their children. Goes back and they can't get a straight story out of these people. How or why these children are going to be taken in 3 days' time. And so Xena's trying to talk to the elders, and Gabrielle talks to the kids, and in the process they find out that these kids are insanely strong and have insane stamina, and the elders do as well. And they find out it's all part of some kind of curse. And on this mountain where they live is some kind of mining operation. They have a mining operation, which they have been doing for the last 2 or 3 generations. And stuff happens. Time comes, and it is. Turns out who's coming. It is. Come on. Why am I suddenly unable to think of her name? It's right here. Discord. Oh my gosh, why was that so difficult? Discord is one of the Olympian goddesses, and it's a goddess of discord. So turns out she's the one who's going to be taking their children, and one of the ladies tells the story. It goes back to when they started mining here, and released something that made the children early on sick. They made a deal with the goddess that spare the kids this time, and then in a certain amount of time it would come back, and she would take the children of a later generation. Well, of course we have some fighting going on and stuff in the process. Of course, Xena is fighting off Discord. Of course, in here another great Mac watercolor painting. Wonderful stuff. And we find out, that something is going on in another nearby valley. There are some Roman soldiers going through this valley and destroying all the temples to Discord. So they have a little timeout. They go to help Discord to spare the kids, but they have to use all the old folks, which he does. And in the process, Strife, Discord's brother, pops up, and they confront the Romans. Wind up setting a trap and defeating the Romans. And in the process, Discord wasn't happy with the thing. It turns out that the Romans were there sent by some other god to destroy Discord's temples, but we don't know who. But anyway, all that part is set up fine. Then Zeus appears with Ares and Aphrodite, and he's not happy with Discord. It turns out that the thing that Discord did with the kids was at his behest. Oh, not that specifically, but she was supposed to get them off the mountain because it was sacred and they weren't supposed to be mining. Instead of telling them that, and she gets in trouble, and poof, another great. Look at that watercolor. Another great. Then poof, Discord, Xena, and Gabrielle are exiled to the ends of the earth. In this case, it takes them to somewhere in South America, and one of these, I can't remember what it is. It looks kind of like a muskrat, but it's not. These critters are kind of round, and they're camping. Discord is very unhappy. They don't know. They run into some of the natives there. Other stuff going on. They got the flying serpents, which are just some type of serpent who can. I have seen them. They can just. They're flattened and they can glide through the air. Anyway, more trouble. More trouble. They wound up helping people, defeating somebody, and then they are poofed someplace else after that. And that takes them to someplace in Siberia, Russian Tiagra. So they're in Siberia, and they're there. It's very cold. Gabrielle gets sick, catches pneumonia. Some local witch takes them into her home to treat Gabrielle. See, and all the artwork is great in here. Some of it has a strong kind of a manga look influence to it, but not necessarily. And then the old lady's home is attacked by villagers. They defend her, fight back, yada yada yada. Turns out that she is a goddess herself, but people have stopped believing in her. They just think she's an old witch, and it goes back to a couple generations to her sister marrying one of the local men, and then the local man turning on them, killing her other sister, and they don't know without belief. They know this goddess no longer has her power, but they managed to get the son of them to back them up forcefully through force in their story, and they get people to believe again, giving her power, some power, but that she's not an evil witch. And then poof, she gets them sent partway home, and poof, it's another great watercolor painting. Poof, it's in the Carpathian Mountains. And then there's another village here. They're kind of stuck in this place. And poof, here's this critter that came with them and is kind of befriended, hanging around Discord. What I said looks like a muskrat. I'm not sure what it is. And I know I've seen it, but I just don't remember what it is. Something is happening to some of the people in the village where they're staying, so Xena and Gabrielle go to check it out, and they don't come back after a couple days. She goes, the Discord goes out to check it out, but the guy who runs the inn that they're staying, he has a special kit. His father was a hunter, and a special kit for these demons inhabit the forest. So she uses that, goes out, and she is attacked by wolves and scampers, gets to the castle, gets in just in time, finds Xena and Gabrielle there, but oh my gosh, she realizes, oh, they're bewitched. They attack her, she fights back, and it turns out, you might recognize this image here, right from Bram Stoker's Dracula, starring Gary Oldman. I see that right there. And yes, the villain is a vampire, and he has ensorcelled Gabrielle and Xena, and once they take blood, they will be vampires as well. But so she has to fight them off, and do the little tricksterism and shooting in the chest with the crossbow, and then shattering a window, allowing the sunlight in, and, well, that's the end of him. And so then they're back. Then later, another great painting. Well, they're finally back to Greece. They had to take a ship and stuff, but they're finally back to Greece. Back to the village, going into Discord, leading them. In the process, they've actually become friends. As much as Discord is moaning and griping about everything, because they've helped each other many times. Attacked by harpies in this labyrinth, then assisted by a minotaur. Finally, getting up on Mount Olympus itself to Zeus, and they have it. It turns out the cause of this whole thing was Strife, who's the one who had sent the Roman soldiers to destroy Discord's temples, and things happen. Discord is no longer banished, but Strife is, and the people are allowed to stay on the mountain, etc. And Xena and Gabrielle decide they're going to go on a vacation somewhere, and then it's backed up with a bunch of, I guess they're variant cover illustrations. Some really nice stuff. by various artists, and it was a good, fun read. I went through it very, very quickly and very briefly. There's a lot more to it than that. And of course, it's an overall serious story. You know, serious tone. A lot of just like a lot of Xena episodes, and a lot of Xena episodes, of course, have a more tongue-in-cheek humor tone. And of course, it still has both visual and sight gags. Oh, and the little critter, I forgot to mention, the little critter that was hanging along with Discord this whole time turned out to be a nature spirit and had been kind of looking out for. So that's all I had to share with you this time. It was a fun read, has some little verbal and sight gags, and you know, and it took a while to read because it's 6 issues, but it's a fun read. And I don't know what else Dynamite may have published featuring Xena. I'm sure they did some. I wonder if they did any Hercules either. I used to have more. I should have some, from the Tops days somewhere. But that's all I had to share with you this time with Xena, Warrior Princess. So remember to like, share, and subscribe. Leave your comments down below. What Xena comic stories have you read before, or have you read any of them? Do you remember the show? Did you like the show? All of that stuff. Let me know in the comments below. And remember, comics are art.